Patriots Day is not only Peter Berg's second film of 2016, but it's his third film that's based on a true story starring Mark Wahlberg. This movie, however, focuses on the 2013 Boston Marathon bombing, the events leading up to it, what was actually going on during that event, and how the people of Boston and the police reacted to it afterwards. After seeing what Peter Berg has done with movies like Deepwater Horizon and Lone Survivor, I was very interested to see what he was going to do with this film, especially since this event was even more recent than the Deepwater Horizon one. In fact, the only way you can not know about this event is if you were a baby at the time or just not alive yet. Patriots Day technically counts as a 2016 film because it had a limited release in December, so it counts. It's not a 2017 film, and I'm honestly so upset that I didn't see this film back in 2016 because it would have easily been on my top 15 best. Peter Berg had another home run with this film. Unfortunately though, what's really upsetting is that Patriots Day got 0 awards recognition, which is complete bullcrap. Peter Berg is honestly one of the most underrated directors working right now. His work here is so superb. He should have been nominated for Best Director, either this or Deepwater Horizon. Patriots Day a little bit more though. And what's really upsetting is, like Deepwater Horizon, Patriots Day got little recognition at the box office too, except Deepwater Horizon made a little bit more than what Patriots Day is doing right now. It is honestly so upsetting. Patriots Day was one of the best films of 2016, and no one's seeing it. Why? And Peter Berg's direction seriously needs to be praised. The actual marathon bombing sequence was incredible to watch, and he did it in the best way possible, because when the bombing actually started, I jumped in my seat because I actually wasn't expecting it to happen at that moment. I was actually sitting there going like, okay, is it gonna start now? Is it gonna start now? When's it gonna start? And even with my tensions going in for when the scene was actually gonna start, he still was able to catch me by surprise with it. That's impressive direction. And when the bombs go off, everything is chaos, and the cinematography really reflects what it probably felt like to be on the ground at that moment, seeing like people's limbs be all messed up, bones sticking out, or maybe being one of the police officers or just other people helping everyone up and get to the hospital. And whenever those explosions went off, as I mentioned, I jumped in my seat, which was very similar to how I felt during some of Deepwater Horizon, constantly feeling anxious. Because once again, Peter Berg, through his excellent sound design, cinematography, direction, he makes you feel like you are with these people. He transports you from the seat you're sitting in watching the film to the actual events that you're watching. You feel like you're with these people. And there's actually another scene that happens that's just as intense as the marathon scene, and it's called the Battle of Watertown. And I honestly didn't even know this sequence took place in real life. I only found that out afterwards, because all I ever heard about on the news was the actual Boston Marathon bombing. I never heard of this thing, so when I first saw it happening on screen, I was like, oh my god, the police actually went through this? Jesus Christ! In that scene, every gunshot that goes off, every explosion, the tensity just keeps building and building, and I kept jumping in my seat. Both this scene and the Boston Marathon scene are deserving of a Best Director nomination alone. Peter Berg should have gotten nominated. I don't think I can stress that point enough. Peter Berg needs to be recognized. Another thing I'm really bummed didn't get nominated, Mark Wahlberg. I loved him in Deepwater Horizon, but in Patriots Day, he's even better, because this is the first time I've ever cried at a Marky Mark performance. I didn't even cry for him in Lone Survivor, and yet in this movie, there's one scene where he's breaking down with his wife Michelle Monaghan, who, by the way, is also really good in this film. But in that scene, Mark Wahlberg's just talking, and you can just see the sadness in his eyes, and when you hear his voice start to choke up and tears are dripping down, I was literally crying with Mark Wahlberg. That's how excellent he was in that role, and this is something that could have failed because his role, his character, isn't a real person, unlike his roles in Lone Survivor and Deepwater Horizon. It's actually a combination of several real-life police officers just jammed into one character. But for this movie, it actually does work, because if you keep constantly shifting from this character to another character to another character to another character, the narrative probably would have felt a little jumbled, so I'm glad they mushed them all into one guy. guy. And also, if they didn't do that, we wouldn't have gotten the best Mark Wahlberg performance ever. And the supporting cast is also very strong in this movie. Kevin Bacon, who easily apologizes for his performance in The Darkness here with this role. He was very good. John Goodman was also really good in this movie, and he lost a ton of weight for this role, I believe, because in between 10 Cloverfield Lane, he didn't have any other movies except Patriots Day. And of course, you probably all expected me to say this, but J.K. Simmons was also really good in this film. He's one of the main contributors in the Battle of Watertown sequence, and he was really good in that. And he's also just really good in the movie. Just imagine J.K. Simmons with a Boston accent. That's incredible to me. There really are no weak links in the cast at all. Everyone does a fantastic job. Even some of the minor characters that come into play later on in the movie, which is another thing I should mention. In the beginning of the film, you might be wondering, why are we focusing on these characters? What's up with this guy? But as the film progresses, you're like, oh, I see what you're doing there, Berg. It's kind of like the character build-up that Peter Berg did for Deepwater Horizon. He just brought that over to Patriots Day. And these two performances I really enjoyed. I don't know the names of these actors, but these two played the terrorist brothers, the guys behind the Boston Marathon bombing. These guys were incredible because they weren't just stereotypical bad guy terrorists that in some movies will just sit there in dark corners, maybe have evil eyes. These guys actually felt like real brothers. They get frustrated with each other. The older brother is more controlling over the younger one, and the younger one just wants to do his own thing pretty much. These brothers felt real, and I think that's really important. They made these characters more three-dimensional than just they're terrorists, so you have to not like them. Instead, they showed off what their relationship was like, and I really liked that. Overall, I really enjoyed Deepwater Horizon when that came out, but I love Patriots Day even more. Everything from the directing, cinematography, sound design, the incredible cast, Patriots Day is a masterpiece of a film, and it's easily one of the best films that have come out in 2016, and I'm gonna give Patriots Day an A+. I seriously want more people to go out and see this film. The more people that go out and see it, the better. Peter Berg is such an amazing talent, and his work cannot go unrecognized. Oh, and by the way, since I did give Patriots Day an A+, here's my updated top 15 list. That's right, it's number 3. I loved it that much. But what did you think of Patriots Day? If you saw it, leave it in the comments below what you thought of it. And if you haven't seen it yet, go see it. Find it somewhere and watch it. It's amazing. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.